this case. It was a recent case where they tried to force a 15-year-old, the NHS tried to force a mastectomy on a 15-year-old young girl. So we needed to fight this one because this has, well, it was horrendous, to be honest. So if we just go back to the beginning. So Mag, at the beginning, obviously when your daughter came to you, she was what, 14 at the time?
Yeah, 14 and a couple of months. So
it was about a year and a half ago, was it? About a year and a half ago. So what happened there, Mag?
For a few weeks, my daughter had problems with her breast. She didn't tell me about it because she's very personal. She likes to keep things to herself. I do speak to my children, but sometimes with problems like that, they don't want to come to you because they want to worry. But she went to her sister, who was 21, and explained to Kira, and Kira come and told me, and I took her to the doctors as there was some issues with the breast, some bleeding and some, you know, other things happening, and we were referred then to the Landoc Breast Centre. We got there, and after the first appointment she was asked to do a biopsy. Now bear in mind she was 14 at the time. She wasn't happy to have the biopsy, but she was reassured by the consultant that there was going to be no pain, and you know, after it then, you know, they could find out what it is and go from there. And then it wasn't until further on that my daughter had come to me and said that the problem that we have, she didn't feel right that she was in the right place, so things had to be questioned. So that's when then I got after we'd been to the hospital, the consultants which we were seeing, there was a lot of bullying going on. The reason why I was saying, where my daughter's a bit personal, she doesn't like to speak a lot for herself, she'd shut down, so I did the talking, and I was classed as a coercive and supportive parent, and they issued the local authority on me because I wouldn't agree with Ruby's decision. So she went and had the biopsy, and it came back as a non-cancerous fibroadenoma, which we were happy about because we thought with lumps being in breast, I wasn't aware of, you know, the problems. I was thinking it could be breast cancer. I'd done my research then and realised that a lot of women and girls do get these fibroadenomas, and they are, you know, they're common. So we went from there then, and from that time we've had such a hard time through the hospital of the bullying, coercive behaviour, the threats, the mention of cancer. Ruby told her that she would rather have keep her breast there than having no breast at all, and that's when another local authority was put on me. Altogether there was 6 applications put through care orders to have my children removed from my care because I wouldn't force my daughter for surgery.
Wow. Yeah, to a lump that wasn't
it was benign.
It was benign, it was non-cancerous, and one of the surgeons actually did scare your daughter a little bit, didn't she, by suggesting it's cancer. They were talking the mastectomy. Now telling a 15-year-old girl that, you know, she's going to lose her breast is, you know, is torturous anyway, you know. But it, you know, this is when we decided to go to another consultant then, Mag, wasn't it?
Yeah, what had happened
a different consultant.
What had happened, my daughter decided she didn't want to go back to Landoc. After a few weeks of me having to cancel appointments, every appointment that I cancelled because she didn't want to go, I had to rearrange another appointment, only to keep them off our back, but just keep taking those appointments so it still feels like we're going. But I had an issue with my daughter of not wanting to go from being scared from the first consultant. So when we'd had the chat, I'd said to my girl, let's go and see somebody else, let's get a second opinion. So we decided to go through Landoc again, and we were given another consultant, which I thought would have been a bit more caring, and with her being 15 then at the time, she would have given her a bit more support and helped her feel a bit more ease at it, because it's been there for a while. But it made things worse, because this one was even worse than the first one. They were still using the coercive behaviour. She got another consultant coming in, and it went from a fibroadenoma non-cancerous to cancer to mastectomy bras. And, you know, we just wanted to get out of there. It was just, you know, horrific. It was hard for me to take as an adult. And, you know, God knows what Ruby was feeling. You know, we just went through, it was just such a hard time.
And at the same time, obviously, you had the local authority was trying with the interim, and not only to take
my daughter, which had the issue, they wanted to take my younger daughter, which is
the
12.
younger sister.
They were taken out of school by local authority and bullied and questioned about my family, of how we live and who their father is, and you know, we need to know this information, and practically harassing my children as well. You know, they didn't go to school all through December for it, because they were petrified of being taken from my property or removed from school. So I kept them home. I had the education on my board then, because their attendance dropped. That wasn't my problem. That was because local authority poked their noses in and made my children scared.
Yeah.
You know, Ruby, she was already petrified of going to school, because it happened in school when that issue started. The t-shirt was covered in blood. It was a shock. She hasn't been doing well in school for the last, I'd say, year. Her education has gone down. You know, it's just been a nightmare for us all. We've just, as a family, we've suffered from being bullied into something, pushing pressure on me to force my daughter into something that's her body and it's her choice.
And we had to, you know, go into, because obviously I came in with you to the, we ended up in the Royal Courts of Justice.
So, Kath's jumping there into the court. So, what has happened from when Maggie was experiencing the bullying and the threats from local authority? They actually almost did get Maggie to agree to a biopsy, and a biopsy was booked for the Wednesday. I happened to get my hands on the court papers in the meantime, and when I was looking at the court papers, I couldn't believe what it actually said. Now, I am used to reading documents like this, but it's not my experience in that got me to see what this was about. It was my experience signing for operations for my own child. You know that when your child goes under the knife, you don't just sign for operation, you sign just in case something happens or for the next stage or whatever. So when I was reading this, I was absolutely amazed. Number one, it's in the best interest of the child to have a biopsy on the lump on her breast. And this is what social services were saying to Maggie. If you agree to this lump, to this biopsy, everything's going to be fine. Little did they admit that these paperwork had already gone into court for a mastectomy. So number two, it is in the best interest of the child to attend an outpatient appointment for examination for the purpose of obtaining a second opinion regarding the surgery required. Maggie was actually on her way to a private clinic in London. They tried to stop it. So that was Maggie's independent second opinion. They were going crazy because Maggie would not give them the information of this new surgeon. They then filed a care order against Maggie. So she had the inherent jurisdiction over her daughter's breast against her, and then she had the interim care order where they wanted her two children to go into care on the 17th of December. Wow. Now if you look here further down, then it says, it is in the best interest of the child to have a lumpectomy regarding the lump on her breast, or it's in the best interest of the child to have a mastectomy as clinically appropriate. So they were saying biopsy to Maggie, and like I said, she almost went ahead with it. And if you look there, when they fill in the court application, they ask about family mediation. They just said there, it's gone past mediation, well, because the mother's the problem, basically. So that's where we were at. The local authority, the social services, had actually misled them, told them it was only a biopsy. But luckily, Maggie, like Chelsea, had that on record. So that particular social worker has failed to provide us with the GMC and NMC number for the medical advice that she was giving Maggie. Now we're going after her. So this was one of the statements from the doctors on the court case. There was never any medical evidence, okay? There was never any medical evidence. We've gone into court twice, and I think it was a week before before they pulled out on it. We finally had medical evidence for the scan and the biopsy, which were benign fibroadenoma.
Took us ages to get that as well, though, so they didn't want to give it.
There was no medical evidence there at all. They went into court saying this was a medical emergency, this was a life or death situation, her 2 children had to be removed for this. Now, if you look at these 3 paragraphs here, look, mastectomy, 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 mastectomy. This family had no idea that was going on. This family thought they were just pushing for a biopsy. Yes, they'd spoken about mastectomy in the clinic, but they had no idea they were taking them to court for a full mastectomy. And I just want to say this last bit here. As you can see, this is a statement from the consultant speaking about the child. I have little experience treating this age group. She's never treated a child. This is an adult service. They actively prevented this child having a paediatric service throughout. The only time they were going to bring a paediatric service in was an anaesthetist to put her to sleep.
Yeah, so this is why we ended up in the courtroom. Obviously, not only did Maggie have the NHS on her back trying to force her daughter into a mastectomy, she now had to deal with the local authority trying to take her children out of her care. But I went in with Maggie, and Paul was there as well. When the last minute when he was there was the barrister, and we went in, and I have to say I will give absolute credit to that judge. He was really good, and the first thing he actually said was he's taking the mastectomy straight off the table. He said, and your daughter was actually in the courtroom on it. The way he dealt with that situation, I think, was bang on. So straight away, he's already had issues with the NHS, and before we'd even said anything, then he turned to social services and said, why have you even got an interim care order on the youngest daughter? Unless you can give me a valid excuse now, you withdraw it. So straight away, you know, I was smiling with that. I knew we were on the right foot and we had a good judge. So we successfully argued then. You know, they were trying to say, I think, Mag, as well, one day, because they wouldn't give the medical, they wouldn't refer the medical notes over to the new consultant, and you're not supposed to do that, you know, within medicine. If you get a new consultant, you just pass pass the histology over. That's how it works. In this case, they wouldn't do it, and the judge was saying to them, in which situation would you, you know, and he was this, that sort of thing, you know, and they did. So we went through that procedure, that process in that court. It was adjourned then, one day we went back, was it December? No, yeah, a couple of weeks later, one was the 4th, and then we went back for the 16th, and yeah, that's right, where your daughter had said, you know, I found a consultant who said they were able to, they could do all this, they could save, you know, remove the lump and save the breast. Obviously, you're going to choose that option. If you've got an option where you're going to lose your whole breast, or you can save it, which one are you going to choose? It's a no-brainer. So having that new consultant was something that the NHS hadn't considered you would even do, I think, at that point. But it just goes to show the overreaching of not only the LA, but the NHS as well, you know. And if they had said, if they had lost that case, it would have had massive implications for everyone, because that would be like saying, it doesn't matter what you say, if we think that you need to have that surgery, whoever you are, then you're having it. It was really important, but thank God to Maggie, went in there, another brave mum. And what is the situation now, Mag? What's happened with the NHS and the local authority since?
Well, since it's all happened, she's had the surgery, they've taken the lump away, which she was still saying that she was forced to do because she'd done it for her sister, because she didn't want to be removed from our care. We've got a lot of healing and repairing to do. as a family, because it wasn't just, I haven't got just 2 daughters, I got 4. It's going to be hard now if any of my other daughters get any lumps or anything in their breasts. It's going to be a fear.
Trust issue, isn't it? Yeah.
She's doing good. So the scarring is minimal. After we were told that the whole breast was going to go, she's well pleased and she's glad it's over, and so am I. She's happier now. And her grades have, she's only been in school, I'd say 3 weeks since her operation. And, well, we were in the hospital the morning after her op. We were due to come home and she was buzzing. I got her one of her grades and it said she had an A in her English.
Oh.
So she's now pushing herself, because she's in the last year, she's got to, you know, push herself to get these grades that she needs to leave school and go to college and what she wants to do. But other than that, if it wasn't for these guys, you know, being behind me and supporting me, I wouldn't have known any of this. You know, and I had to do what I had to do, which was protect my child.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been following the PCP Wales for the last 5 years. We've been to their rallies and their protests, and I think there was a main reason why we were meant to be here, because we need to be there for everyone's kids, not just our own.
Yeah.
Keep a lookout for everyone's.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'd like to thank them all, you know, for the help. If I don't know where I would be today if I never, you know, if they were taking my kids in my life. And I will do it all over again.
And one last thing as well. We meant to go to court, was it? 2 days ago.
Due in court on Thursday, and we had an email that the NHS and the local authority vacated. And they closed the case.
Yeah, but wait there. So they wanted to pull out about a week ago, but we wouldn't let them. So with where the child had her surgery was the consultant that we found. And so the NHS had to pay them for her to have her surgery under this consultant. This consultant has said that she would like the child to have a scan in 6 months and again in 12 months. Well, we weren't having local authority knocking the door in 6 months' time. So we wanted to make sure that these 2 scans were carried out in this hospital with this other consultant. We made sure the NHS Wales will pay for it. Then we said you can pull out.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Oh, that's it.
So guys, this is our break now. If we just have a quick 10 minutes, because I know we're running away on time. And then the final session, you'll have to prep with the PCPW girls as us.